She didn't plan to disappear. Not like this. Not with just one small bag and a goodbye she never said out loud. That morning started like any other. The sun rose slowly over the rusted rooftops. The air was thick, quiet, almost too quiet. And inside a cramped room at the back of the house, she sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the only bag she owned. It wasn't much. A few clothes. A worn-out pair of slippers. An old photograph, folded too many times. Her hands trembled as she zipped it shut, not because she was afraid of leaving, but because she had no idea what she was walking into. She paused at the door, listened. Her mother's voice echoed faintly from the kitchen, pots clanging, life going on, as if nothing was about to change. And that's when it hit her. If she walked out now, everything would be different. Forever. No turning back. No second chances. No safety net. Just the road ahead and whatever it decided to give her or take from her. She reached for the handle, stopped. Her chest tightened. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall, because deep down, she knew something. This wasn't just a journey. It was a test that would break her, reshape her, and force her to become someone she never imagined. Someone stronger or someone lost. She opened the door, stepped out, and in that single moment, she unknowingly walked into a story that would change her life forever. But what she didn't know was that the hardest part wasn't leaving home. It was surviving what came after. Before we go any further, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you didn't belong where you were? Like no matter how hard you tried, no matter how much you endured, something inside you kept whispering, there has to be more than this. Maybe you've stood at a door like she did, heart pounding, hands shaking, not knowing if the next step would lead to freedom or regret. Because leaving isn't always brave. Sometimes it's desperate. Sometimes it's the only choice you feel you have left. And that's what makes this story different. This isn't just about a girl who packed a bag and walked away. It's about what happens after that decision. The part nobody talks about. The nights you question everything. The people you trust too quickly. The moments you almost give up. But something inside you refuses to die. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever dreamed of escaping your situation, or if you've ever made a decision that changed everything, then this story is for you. And trust me, you're going to want to stay till the very end. Because what she goes through, the choices she makes, and the truth she uncovers, it's something you won't see coming. So before we dive deeper, take a second. Hit the like button if you believe one decision can change a life. Subscribe if you love real, emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Because stories like this, they're not just entertainment. They're reminders of who we are, what we can survive, and how far we're willing to go just to find ourselves. Now, let's go back to where it all really began. Because her story didn't start at that door. It started long before that. In a home that never truly felt like one. Her name was Amara, 17 years old, and already tired of life. Not the kind of tired that sleep could fix. The kind that sits deep in your chest, heavy, constant, suffocating. Amara grew up in a house where love existed, but it was quiet, fragile, and often overshadowed by struggle. Her father used to be different. Before everything fell apart. Before the drinking. Before the shouting. Before the nights when the walls felt like they were closing in. There was a time he laughed. A time he carried her on his shoulders and called her his little star. But that version of him slowly disappeared the day he lost his job. At first, it was just frustration, then silence, then bottles, and after that, things changed. Money doesn't fall from the sky, he would shout, his voice sharp enough to cut through the thin walls. I'm trying, her mother would reply, exhaustion breaking through every word. Amara would sit in the corner, hugging her knees, pretending she couldn't hear them, pretending she wasn't there. But she always was. Every argument, every slammed door, every tear her mother wiped away when she thought no one was looking. Amara saw it all, felt it all, and slowly it started to change her. School became her escape, not because it was easy, far from it, but because for a few hours each day, she could breathe. She was smart. Quiet, but observant, the kind of girl who noticed things others ignored. Her teachers saw potential in her. Amara, you could go far, one of them once said, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. Don't let where you come from limit where you're going. She held onto those words tightly, because at home, no one said things like that. At home, survival came first. Her mother worked tirelessly, taking on small jobs, selling food by the roadside, doing whatever she could just to keep them afloat. There were nights they ate, and nights they didn't. But her mother always made sure Amara had something, even if it meant going without herself. I'm fine, her mother would say with a weak smile. I already ate. But Amara knew the truth. She always knew. And that's what made it harder. Because no matter how much she wanted to help, she couldn't. Not yet. Not like this. Then came the pressure. Relatives started talking. Neighbors whispering. 17 already. What's the plan? She should be helping more at home. Maybe it's time she learns responsibility properly. Those words carried weight. Heavy, suffocating weight. And one evening, everything changed. It was raining that night. The kind of rain that drowns out everything except what's happening inside your own home. Her father stumbled in late, drunk, angry, and louder than usual. Where is the money? He demanded, his eyes bloodshot. I used it for food, her mother replied softly, trying to keep the peace. That's all you ever say, he snapped. The argument escalated quickly. Voices raised, accusations thrown, and then a loud crash. Amara froze. Her heart stopped. She rushed into the living room, just in time to see her mother on the floor, holding her arm, wincing in pain. Something inside Amara broke in that moment. Not cracked, not shaken, broken. Stop, she shouted, stepping between them, her voice trembling but fierce. Just stop! Her father stared at her. For a brief second, there was silence. Then he laughed. A cold, bitter laugh. You think you're grown now, he said, shaking his head. You don't even know how this world works. Maybe he was right. Maybe she didn't. But she knew one thing for sure. She couldn't stay there anymore. Not in a place where fear lived in every corner. Not in a home that slowly destroyed the people inside it. That night, as her mother slept with quiet tears slipping down her face, Amara lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking, planning, deciding. Because sometimes the hardest choice isn't leaving. It's realizing that staying might cost you everything. And by morning, her mind was made up. She was going to leave. no matter what it took. But what Amara didn't realize was that the world outside her home could be even more dangerous than the one she was trying to escape. Morning came too quickly, too quiet, too normal, for a day that was about to change everything. Amara woke up before the sun fully rose. She didn't stretch, didn't yawn, didn't move for a few seconds. She just lay there, listening. Her mother was already awake, moving around the kitchen, just like every other day. The faint sound of metal against metal, the rhythm of survival. Her father, silent, still asleep, or passed out. Amara slowly sat up. Her eyes drifted to the small bag resting beside her bed. The same bag she had packed the night before. It looked smaller in the daylight, almost insignificant. But she knew everything she needed was inside it. Or at least, everything she thought she needed. She reached for it, paused. Her chest tightened again. This was it. No more thinking. No more planning. Just action. She stood up quietly and walked to the small mirror hanging crookedly on the wall. For a moment, she didn't recognize the girl staring back at her. Same face, same eyes. But something had changed. There was a weight in them now. A quiet determination mixed with fear. You can do this, she whispered to herself. But even her own voice sounded unsure. She turned away before doubt could settle in. Step by step, she moved toward the door. Careful, silent. Every movement felt louder than it actually was. Her hand brushed against the curtain as she passed, the familiar scent of home filling her nose one last time. And suddenly, memories flooded in. Laughter from years ago, her mother braiding her hair, her father smiling, before everything changed. For a second, just 1 second, she almost turned back. But then she remembered the night before. The shouting, the pain, the look on her mother's face. And just like that, the hesitation disappeared. She reached the front door, placed her hand on it. Cold, rough, real. Behind that door was everything she had ever known. Outside it was everything she didn't. She took a deep breath, slowly, quietly. She opened it. The early morning air rushed in, cool, fresh, unfamiliar in a strange way. The world outside looked the same. People moving, vendors setting up, life going on like nothing had changed. But for her, everything had. She stepped out, one foot, then the other, and just like that, she was gone. No goodbye, no note, no explanation, only silence left behind. Amara walked down the narrow street, her grip tightening around the strap of her bag. Every step felt heavier than the last. Not because she wanted to stop, but because she knew there was no going back now. A woman passed by her, balancing a tray on her head. "Where are you heading so early?" she asked casually. Amara forced a small smile. "Just going out," she replied. The woman nodded and kept walking. Simple, normal. But Amara's heart was racing because she wasn't just going out. She was leaving everything behind. As she reached the end of the street, she stopped, turned around, looked back at the house one last time. It stood there, quiet, unchanged, as if it didn't even notice she was gone. A lump formed in her throat, but she swallowed it hard, then turned away and kept walking toward the main road, towards the unknown. Buses roared past, horns blared, voices shouted. The city was waking up, loud and alive. It was overwhelming, but she didn't stop, didn't hesitate. She walked straight to the roadside, her eyes scanning for an opportunity. Any opportunity. A bus slowed down nearby. The conductor leaned out. "Where you dey go?" he called. Amara froze, just for a second, because the truth was, she didn't know. Not really. She had no clear destination, no plan, just a desperate need to leave. Anywhere but here. She took a breath, then stepped forward. "Anywhere this bus is going," she said quietly. The conductor looked at her for a moment, then shrugged. "Enter." And just like that, Amara climbed into the bus, sat down by the window, clutched her bag tightly to her chest. As the engine roared to life and the bus began to move, she watched as everything she had ever known slowly faded behind her. Street by street, corner by corner, memory by memory. Her heart pounded, her mind raced, fear crept in. But beneath it all, there was something else, something new, something unfamiliar. Hope. But hope can be dangerous, especially when you don't know what's waiting for you on the other side. And as the bus carried her farther and farther away, Amara had no idea that this journey, this single decision, was about to lead her into a world she was completely unprepared for. A world that would test her, break her, and force her to fight in ways she never imagined. Because sometimes, the road you choose to escape your pain leads you straight into something even worse. The bus didn't stop moving, not for a long time. At first, Amara tried to keep track of where they were going, watching the roads, the signs, the faces that came and went. But after a while, everything started to blur. The familiar streets disappeared. The houses changed. The air itself felt different, heavier, faster, louder. The farther they went, the more she realized she was no longer anywhere close to home. Hours passed. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Her throat felt dry, but she said nothing. She just sat there, staring out the window, trying to convince herself she had made the right decision. Then, suddenly, the bus slowed down, then stopped. Voices rose around her. "Last stop! Everybody calm down." Amara blinked, confused. Last stop? Already? Her heart skipped. She hadn't even asked where they were going. Slowly, she stood up, clutching her bag tightly, and stepped out of the bus. The moment her feet hit the ground, it hit her. This place was nothing like where she came from. Tall buildings stretched into the sky. Cars rushed past endlessly. People moved fast, too fast, like everyone was chasing something. No one looked at her. No one noticed her. No one cared. The noise alone was overwhelming. Horns blaring, vendors shouting, engines roaring, music blasting from somewhere she couldn't even see. Amara turned slowly, trying to take it all in. Her breathing quickened. This wasn't just a new place. This was a different world. Back home, everything was slow, predictable. Even in its chaos, there was familiarity. But here, everything felt uncertain, unforgiving, alive in a way that made her feel small, very small. She stepped aside as people brushed past her without apology. A man bumped into her shoulder. "Watch where you dey stand!" he snapped, not even stopping. "I'm sorry," she said quickly, but he was already gone. Just like that. Invisible. That's what she felt like. Invisible. Amara tightened her grip on her bag, her only sense of security in a place that offered none. She walked slowly toward the roadside, her eyes darting around, looking for something familiar, something safe, but there was nothing, only strangers, strange faces, strange voices, strange intentions she couldn't read. Her confidence began to slip. That small spark of hope she felt on the bus, it flickered, then dimmed. What now? She whispered to herself. The question hung in the air, heavy, unanswered. She had left home thinking freedom would feel different, lighter, better. But standing there, in the middle of a place that didn't know her, didn't see her, didn't care about her, freedom suddenly felt a lot like fear. A group of girls walked past her, laughing loudly, well-dressed, confident. They looked like they belonged. Amara watched them for a moment, then looked down at herself, her simple clothes, her worn slippers, her small bag. The difference was clear, painfully clear. For the first time since she left, doubt crept in, deep, sharp. Maybe I shouldn't have come, she thought. But it was too late for that. Way too late. A loud honk snapped her back to reality. A taxi slowed down beside her. Where you dey go? The driver asked, leaning out. Amara hesitated again, because the truth hadn't changed. She still didn't know. And that was the problem. Out here, not knowing wasn't just uncomfortable. It was dangerous. Very dangerous. Because in a place like this, if you didn't know where you were going, someone else would decide for you. And not everyone out here had good intentions. Amara took a small step back from the taxi, shook her head. I'm fine, she said quietly. The driver shrugged and drove off, leaving her standing there, alone, lost and completely exposed. The city didn't slow down for her, didn't care about her confusion, didn't offer guidance. It just kept moving. And if she didn't move with it, it would swallow her whole. Amara swallowed hard, her heart pounding again, her mind racing. She needed a plan, fast, because deep down, she could feel it. This place was going to test her in ways she never imagined. And if she wasn't careful, it wouldn't just change her. It could destroy her. Amara stood there, frozen between moving bodies and blaring noise. When she felt it, a presence, someone watching her. At first, she ignored it, told herself it was just her imagination. But then, you look lost. The voice was calm, soft, too calm for a place like this. Amara turned quickly. A woman stood a few steps behind her, mid-30s, maybe, well-dressed, but not flashy. Her hair neatly tied back, her posture confident, her eyes sharp, too sharp, but her smile warm, reassuring, almost comforting. I am fine, Amara replied quickly, instinctively tightening her grip on her bag. The woman tilted her head slightly, studying her. No, you're not, she said gently, and that's okay. Something about the way she said it made Amara pause, because it didn't feel like judgment. It felt like understanding. My name is Auntie Kemi, the woman continued, extending her hand. What's yours? Amara hesitated just for a second. Then, Amara, she said quietly. Auntie Kemi smiled wider. Beautiful name, she said. So tell me, Amara, where are you coming from? The question hit differently, because it wasn't just about location. It felt deeper, personal. Amara looked away. Just far, she replied. Auntie Kemi nodded slowly, as if she understood without needing more. And where are you going? She asked. Amara didn't answer, because now the silence spoke for her. Auntie Kemi's eyes softened. I see, she said quietly. Then she stepped a little closer. Not too close, just enough. Listen, she continued, lowering her voice slightly. This city, it's not kind to people who don't have direction. Amara swallowed, her heart beating faster. I've seen girls like you before, Auntie Kemi went on. Strong, brave, but alone. There was something in her tone, something that made Amara feel seen. For the first time since she arrived, she didn't feel invisible. You don't have anyone here, do you? Auntie Kemi asked gently. Amara shook her head. Slowly. No, she whispered. Auntie Kemi sighed softly, then smiled again. Well, maybe that's not entirely true anymore. And Amara frowned slightly. What do you mean? I mean, Auntie Kemi said, gesturing lightly. You don't have to be alone, not if you don't want to be. Those words, they landed deep, because loneliness, it had already started creeping in. And the idea of not facing this place alone was tempting, very tempting. I run a small place, Auntie Kemi continued. Nothing fancy, just somewhere girls can stay, get back on their feet. Amara's eyes widened slightly. Stay? She repeated. Yes, Auntie Kemi nodded. Food, a place to sleep, guidance, until you figure things out. It sounded perfect, too perfect. But in that moment, Amara wasn't thinking about what could go wrong. She was thinking about survival, about where she would sleep that night, about the fear that had been building inside her since she stepped off that bus. You don't have to decide now, Auntie Kemi added quickly, sensing her hesitation. But trust me, wandering around here alone, that's not safe. A loud shout echoed nearby. Two men arguing, voices rising. Tension building. Amara flinched slightly. Her eyes darted around again. Uncertainty, fear, pressure. Everything closing in at once. Auntie Kemi noticed. Of course she did. Calm, she said softly. Let's get you somewhere quiet first. Then we can talk properly. Amara hesitated. Again, but this time, it felt different, because now she had two choices. Stay here, alone, exposed, vulnerable, or go with a stranger who seemed kind, helpful, safe, at least on the surface. Her heart pounded. Her instincts whispered something. But her fear, it was louder. Slowly, she nodded. Okay, she said. And just like that, Auntie Kemi's smile returned. Good girl, she said softly, then turned and began walking. Amara followed, step by step, deeper into the city, deeper into the unknown. She didn't notice the way Auntie Kemi's expression changed slightly once she turned away. Didn't notice the subtle glance she gave to a man standing across the street. A glance that lasted only a second, but said everything. Because not every helping hand is there to save you. And sometimes, the people who seem like your way out are actually the beginning of something much darker. They walked in silence at first. Amara followed closely behind Auntie Kemi, her small bag clutched tightly against her chest, her eyes scanning everything around her. The city looked different now, not just loud, but watchful. Every corner felt like it was hiding something. Every face looked like it knew more than it showed. Stay close, Auntie Kemi said casually, not even turning back. This area can be unpredictable. Unpredictable. That word lingered in Amara's mind. Because deep down, that's exactly how she felt. Uncertain, unsteady, unprepared. They turned into a narrower street, quieter, less crowded. The noise of the main road faded behind them, replaced by something else. Something heavier. Men stood in small groups, talking in low voices. Some glanced at Amara as she passed. Not curious, not friendly, just watching. Her grip on her bag tightened. Her steps slowed slightly. "Auntie," she called softly. "Yes," Kemi replied, her tone still light. "Are we close?" "Very," she said quickly. "Just a few more minutes." But something about her voice had changed. Just slightly. Almost impatient. Amara noticed it, but said nothing. They kept walking. Past broken buildings, past closed shops, past corners that felt too quiet, too hidden. A young boy ran past them barefoot, chasing after something invisible. A woman sat by the roadside, staring blankly into space. And for a moment, Amara felt something twist inside her. This place didn't feel like help. It didn't feel like safety. It felt like something else. Something she couldn't quite name. "You're quiet," Auntie Kemi said suddenly, glancing back at her. "I'm just tired," Amara replied. Kemi nodded. "That's normal. You've been through a lot already." A lot. If only she knew. Or maybe she did. They stopped in front of a building. It looked ordinary, old, but not completely run down. A faded gate stood slightly open. "This is it," Auntie Kemi said, pushing the gates gently. It creaked as it opened. The sound echoed louder than it should have. Amara hesitated at the entrance. Her feet refused to move for a second because something inside her was pulling back. Hard. "You coming?" Kemi asked, already stepping inside. Amara looked around. The street behind her. Still quiet. Empty. No one to ask. No one to help. No one who cared. Her heart beat faster. Louder. Like it was trying to warn her. But the thought of going back, of being alone again, of sleeping on the streets, it pushed her forward. Slowly, she stepped inside. The gate closed behind her. Clang! The sound was final. Too final. Inside, the air felt different. Heavier. Still, a hallway stretched ahead, dimly lit. Doors on both sides. Closed. Silent. "Don't worry," Auntie Kemi said, noticing her unease. "You'll get used to it." "Get used to it?" Amara forced a small nod, but her eyes kept moving. Noticing things. The peeling paint. The faint smell of something she couldn't identify. The silence. That didn't feel peaceful. It felt controlled. As they walked deeper inside, a door opened suddenly. A girl stepped out. About Amara's age. Maybe younger. Their eyes met. And for a split second, something passed between them. A warning. A silent one. The girl's eyes widened slightly. Then quickly dropped. She walked past them without saying a word. Too fast. Too careful. Amara turned slightly, watching her go. "Auntie," she started. But Kemi interrupted. "Don't mind her," she said quickly. "Some of them are just shy." "Some of them?" Amara's stomach tightened. "How many girls stay here?" she asked. "Enough," Kemi replied with a small smile. "You'll make friends." Friends. The word didn't feel right. Not here. Not like this. They stopped in front of a door at the end of the hallway. Kemi reached into her bag, pulled out a key, unlocked it, then turned to Amara. "This will be your room," she said. Amara stared at the door. Something inside her screamed, "Don't." But her body didn't listen. "Go on," Kemi urged gently. "You need to rest." Amara reached for the handle. Her fingers brushed against it. Cold, just like the door she left behind that morning. But this time, it didn't feel like a beginning. It felt like something else. Something heavier. Something darker. She pushed the door open slowly and stepped inside, not knowing that this wasn't a safe place. Not even close. Because sometimes the danger isn't outside in the open. Sometimes it's hidden behind closed doors, waiting, watching. And once you step in, walking out becomes a lot harder than you think. The room was small, bare, but clean enough. A thin mattress lay on the floor, covered with a faded sheet. A single window sat high on the wall, letting in just enough light to soften the shadows. There was a plastic chair in the corner and nothing else. Amara stepped in slowly. Her eyes moved across the space, taking it all in. It wasn't much, but compared to the uncertainty outside, it felt like something. "You can rest here," Auntie Kemi said from behind her. "There's water in the bathroom down the hall. Food will be ready soon." Amara turned slightly. "Thank you," she said, her voice quiet but sincere. Kemi smiled. That same warm smile. "You're safe here," she added softly. Safe. The word wrapped around Amara's thoughts like a blanket. For the first time since she left home, her shoulders relaxed. Just a little. "I'll come get you later," Kemi said, stepping back. "Try to sleep." And then she closed the door. Gently. Click. Amara stood there for a moment, listening. Footsteps fading away. Silence settling in. Then, slowly, she placed her bag on the floor, sat down on the mattress, and let out a breath she didn't even realize she'd been holding. Her body felt heavy, exhausted, every muscle aching from tension, from fear, from everything. She lay back, staring up at the ceiling, and for a brief moment, everything went quiet inside her. No racing thoughts, no fear screaming at her, just stillness. "I made it," she whispered. It wasn't happiness. Not exactly. But it was relief. Temporary relief. Her eyes closed. And just like that, sleep took her. She didn't know how long she slept. But when she woke up, the light had changed. Softer. Warmer. Evening. For a second, she forgot where she was. Her body still. Her mind blank. Then it all came rushing back. The bus. The city. Auntie Kemi. This place. Amara sat up quickly, her heart beating faster again. But something felt different. Less sharp. Less overwhelming. Maybe it was the rest. Or maybe it was the illusion of safety. A knock came at the door. Soft. Controlled. "Amara," a voice called. It wasn't Kemi. It was younger. Gentler. Amara hesitated, then stood up and opened the door. A girl stood there, the same one she saw earlier in the hallway. Up close, she looked even younger, 16, maybe. Her eyes were tired, too tired for someone her age. "Food is ready," the girl said quietly. Amara nodded. "Thank you." The girl turned to leave, then paused, just for a second. Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to say something, but then she didn't. She just walked away, fast. Amara watched her go, that same strange feeling creeping back in. But hunger pulled her forward. She followed the hallway down to a small dining area. A few girls sat around a table, eating quietly. No laughter, no conversation, just silence, broken by the sound of spoons against plates. Auntie Kemi stood at the far end watching, smiling. "Ah, Amara," she said warmly. "Come, sit." Amara obeyed, took a seat. A plate of food was placed in front of her. Sample, but enough. She didn't hesitate. She started eating, fast at first, then slower, because she became aware of something. Everyone else was eating the same way, quietly, carefully, almost cautiously. No one looked at each other. No one spoke. It wasn't normal, but Amara told herself, maybe they're just tired. Maybe they've all been through things. She didn't want to think too deeply. Not now. Not when she finally had food in front of her. Not when she finally had a roof over her head. After the meal, the girls stood up one by one, returning their plates without a word. Amara followed, trying to blend in, trying to understand the rhythm of this place. As she walked back toward her room, Auntie Kemi's voice stopped her. "Amara." She turned. "Yes?" Kemi stepped closer, her smile softer now, but her eyes still sharp. "You'll be staying with us for a while," she said calmly. "We all contribute here. Everyone has a role." Amara nodded slowly. "That's fine," she said. "I can help." "Good," Kemi replied. Then she leaned in slightly, her voice dropping just enough. "You'll learn everything soon." Something about the way she said it sent a chill down Amara's spine, but it passed quickly, replaced again by that fragile sense of comfort, of belonging, of stability. "Rest well tonight," Kemi added, stepping back. "Tomorrow we begin." "Tomorrow." Amara nodded again, then returned to her room, closed the door, sat down. Her body relaxed again, her mind quieter now, because for the first time since she left home, she wasn't thinking about where she would sleep or what she would eat. She had that now. At least, it seemed that way. She lay down again, staring at the ceiling, a small, tired smile forming on her lips. "Maybe this isn't so bad," she whispered. And in that moment, she believed it. She truly believed it. But sometimes, the calm you feel before the storm isn't peace. It's preparation. Because while Amara drifted back into sleep, trusting the place she had just found, something else was already in motion. Something she couldn't see. Something she couldn't stop. And by the time she realized the truth, it would already be too late. Morning came with a knock. Not soft this time. Firm. Precise. "Wake up." Amara's eyes opened slowly. For a second, she didn't move, her body still heavy from sleep, her mind trying to catch up. Then the knock came again, louder. "I'm awake," she replied quickly, sitting up. "Good, come out." The voice wasn't gentle. It was controlled. Different from yesterday. Amara stood up, adjusting her clothes, her heart already starting to beat faster. Something felt off, but she couldn't explain why. She opened the door. The hallway looked the same, dim, quiet. But now, it felt colder. The girl from yesterday stood there again, the quiet one. Her eyes met Amara's briefly, then looked away. "Follow me," she said. Amara nodded and stepped out. They walked in silence, past the same doors, past the same walls. But this time, Amara noticed more. The way some doors were slightly open, revealing quick glimpses of girls inside, sitting, waiting, not talking. The way everything felt controlled, organized, like a system. They reached a different room this time, larger, brighter. Auntie Kemi stood inside, along with two other women Amara had never seen before. They didn't smile. They didn't speak. They just watched. Amara slowed down slightly. A small alarm going off inside her chest. "Come in," Kemi said. Her voice was calm, but not warm anymore. Amara stepped inside. The door closed behind her. Click. That sound again. Too final. "Good morning," Amara said softly. No one replied. Auntie Kemi stepped forward, her expression unreadable now. "You rested well?" she asked. "Yes," Amara answered. "Good. A pause. Then, as I told you yesterday, everyone here has a role." Amara nodded slowly. "I'm ready to help," she said. Kemi smiled slightly, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I know." She gestured toward a chair. "Sit." Amara hesitated, then obeyed. Her palms were starting to sweat. Something wasn't right. She could feel it now, clearly. "You're young," Kemi continued, pacing slowly. "Smart too, I can tell." Amara said nothing, just listened. "You came here because you needed something," Kemi went on. "Safety, food, direction. A pause, and we gave you that." The words landed heavier than they should have. Amara swallowed. "Yes, thank you," she said. Kemi stopped walking, turned to face her. "And now," she said softly, "it's time for you to give something back." Amara's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" Kemi exchanged a quick glance with the two women, then looked back at Amara. "You'll be working for us," she said plainly. "Working?" Amara nodded slightly. "That's okay. What kind of work?" "For a moment." Silence filled the room. Then one of the women chuckled. Low, cold. "You learn," she said. Amara frowned. "I don't understand." Kemi stepped closer. Too close. Her voice dropped. "You don't need to understand everything right now," she said. "Just listen." Amara's heart was racing now. Loud. Uncontrollable. "Today," Kemi continued, "you'll go out with one of our girls. She'll show you what to do." "Go out? Do what exactly?" Amara asked, her voice slightly shaky now. Another pause. Longer this time. Then Kemi leaned in, her smile gone completely. "You'll make money." The words hit hard, but not as hard as what came next. "However you're told to." Amara's stomach dropped. "No," she whispered, shaking her head slightly. I can't." Kemi's expression didn't change. "You can," she said calmly. "And you will." Amara stood up suddenly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I didn't come here for that," she said, her voice trembling but firm. For a second, everything went still. Then one of the women stepped forward, blocking the door. "You came here because you had nowhere else to go," she said coldly. "And now you do." The meaning was clear, too clear. Amara's breathing quickened. "No, I'll leave," she said, backing up slightly. "I'll go somewhere else." "You think it's that easy?" Kemi interrupted, her tone sharper now, more dangerous. Amara froze. "You ate our food," Kemi continued. "You slept under our roof." Each word felt like a weight pressing down on her. That wasn't free. Amara's eyes widened, fear spreading fast now. I didn't know." "Exactly," Kemi cut in. "You didn't know." Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Then Kemi straightened, calm again. "Controlled. But now you do." Amara's mind raced. her heart pounding louder than ever. This wasn't help. This wasn't safety. This was something else. Something she had walked straight into. And now, she had a choice. The first real choice since she left home. Obey and step deeper into something she didn't understand. Or resist and face consequences she couldn't predict. Her hands trembled, her thoughts spinning, her instincts screaming. Because deep down, she knew this decision would change everything, and not in the way she had hoped. No, the word came out before she could stop it. Soft, but firm. I can't do it, Amara said again, shaking her head. I won't. For a moment, silence. Then, a sharp slap, crack. The sound echoed through the room. Amara's head snapped to the side. Her ears rang. Her cheek burned instantly. She froze, shock flooding through her body. She hadn't even seen it coming. Slowly, she turned her head back, her eyes wide, tears already forming. Auntie Kemi stood in front of her, expression unchanged. Calm, like nothing had just happened. You don't get to say no here, she said quietly. The softness in her voice made it worse. Much worse. Amara's heart pounded violently in her chest. I just want to leave, she whispered. Another pause. Then Kemi said, almost disappointed. You still don't understand, she said. She turned slightly, gave a small nod, and suddenly, strong hands grabbed Amara from behind. She gasped, struggled instantly. Let me go, please. But they didn't. They held her tighter. Firm, unmoving. Fear exploded inside her. Real fear. The kind that paralyzes. The kind that tells you, you are not in control anymore. Listen to me carefully, Kemi said, stepping closer again. Her voice dropped. Colder now. More dangerous. You came here on your own. No one forced you. Amara shook her head, tears spilling now. Please, I didn't know. That doesn't matter, Kemi replied. Another step closer. You owe us. Those words hit like chains locking into place. You will work, she continued. You will do exactly what you're told. Amara struggled again. Desperate now. I won't, she cried. I'll scream. Another slap. Harder this time. Her words cut off instantly. Her body went still. Not because she wanted to stop fighting, but because something inside her started to break. You think anyone out there cares? Kemi said, her voice barely above a whisper. You think anyone is coming to save you? Amara's breathing became uneven, her strength fading. Not physically, but emotionally, mentally. You are alone, Kemi continued. The words slow, deliberate. And the sooner you accept that, the easier this will be for you. Tears streamed down Amara's face. Uncontrollable. Her mind raced, looking for a way out. Any way out. But there was none. Not here. Not like this. Take her, Kemi said calmly. The hands gripping Amara tightened, pulling her toward the door. No, please, Amara cried out again. But no one came. No one heard. Or maybe no one cared. The hallway blurred as they dragged her through it. Doors closed. Silence everywhere. Like nothing was happening. Like this was normal. They pushed her into another room. Bigger. Colder. The door slammed behind them. Amara stumbled forward, collapsing to the floor. Her body shaking. Her chest heaving. Her mind spinning out of control. One of the women crouched beside her, grabbed her chin roughly, forced her to look up. You're not the first, she said coldly. And you won't be the last. Amara's vision blurred through tears. I just wanted to leave home, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Broken. The woman released her, stood up. Yeah, she said flatly. They all do. Then they left. Just like that. Leaving Amara alone, on the cold floor, shaking, crying, breaking. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. She couldn't tell. Time didn't feel real anymore. Nothing did. Her thoughts were scattered, her body numb, her spirit cracking under the weight of it all. And slowly, something began to change inside her. Not all at once, not suddenly, but piece by piece, like something being worn down over time. Her resistance weakened, her hope faded, her voice quieted. Because when you're pushed far enough, when fear surrounds you from every angle, when escape feels impossible, you don't fight the same way anymore. You start to adapt, to survive, even if it means becoming someone you never wanted to be. That evening, the door opened again. A girl stepped in, the same quiet one. She avoided eye contact. Come, she said softly. Amara didn't move, not at first. Please, the girl added, her voice barely above a whisper. Just come. Something in her tone was different, not commanding, not cold, almost pleading. Amara slowly pushed herself up, her body weak, her steps unsteady. She followed, not because she wanted to, but because something inside her had already started to give in. They walked down the hallway again, but this time, Amara didn't look around, didn't question anything, didn't resist. Her eyes stayed on the floor. Her mind, quiet, too quiet. And as she stepped deeper into whatever this place had planned for her, the girl walking beside her whispered something. So soft. Amara almost didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Amara glanced at her briefly, confused. But before she could ask anything, they stopped. Another door. Another moment. Another step she couldn't take back. Because this was the beginning of her downfall. The moment where survival started to cost her pieces of herself. And once you start losing those pieces, getting them back is never easy. The room felt smaller this time, or maybe Amara was just feeling smaller inside it. She stood near the door, her arms wrapped around herself instinctively, like she could hold her own body together if she squeezed hard enough. The girl who brought her here didn't leave immediately. She lingered, like she was waiting for something, waiting for Amara to speak. But Amara didn't. She couldn't. Her throat felt locked. Her thoughts were heavy, slow, tangled. Everything that had happened kept replaying in fragments. The slap, the grip on her arms, the words, "You owe us." Her chest tightened. No, I didn't agree to this. But another voice rose inside her, quieter, more dangerous. But you're here now. She swallowed hard. Her eyes flicked around the room. Two other girls sat quietly in the corner. One stared at the wall. The other picked at her fingernails like she was trying to erase something from her skin. No one spoke. No one looked happy. No one looked free. Amara's breathing became uneven again. I want to go home, she said suddenly. Her voice cracked halfway through. The words hung in the air, heavy. The girl beside her closed her eyes for a second, like she was tired of hearing it. I said that too, she replied softly. Amara turned to her quickly. Hope flickered. You did? The girl nodded. Slowly. Yes. A pause. Then, but I stayed. That answer didn't bring comfort. It made something worse settle in Amara's chest. Why? Amara asked. The girl hesitated. Longer this time. Then, finally, because leaving wasn't an option anymore. Silence. Amara shook her head slightly. That's not true, she whispered. There's always a way out. The girl looked at her then, really looked at her, and there was something in her eyes. Something tired, something broken, something that had already accepted things Amara was still fighting. Not here, she said. Amara stepped back slightly. Her back hit the wall. Cold. Real. Her mind started racing again. Thinking. Planning. Looking for escape routes. Doors. Windows. Anything. But the room had none. Just walls and silence. And eyes watching her. Always watching. You're thinking too much, the girl said gently. Amara blinked. I have to, she replied quickly. I can't stay here. A faint, sad smile appeared on the girl's face. You already are. Those words, they landed differently. Not like a threat. Not like an order. Like a fact. Amara shook her head again, more forcefully this time. No, I didn't choose this. No one does, the girl replied. That stopped her. Completely. Amara stared at her. Confused. Angry now. What are you saying? The girl sighed. Looked away. And for the first time, her voice dropped into something almost honest. You think we all came here by choice? A pause. Amara didn't answer. The girl continued. We were all like you once. Lost. Scared. Looking for help. Her fingers tightened slightly in her lap, and someone offered it. Amara's stomach twisted. But, she whispered, this isn't help. And the girl didn't respond immediately, just looked at her. Long, hard, then. No, she said quietly. It isn't. That confirmation should have brought relief. But it didn't. It made everything worse. Because now Amara understood something terrifying. This wasn't just one bad place. It wasn't just one bad decision. It was a system, a cycle, and she was inside it. The door opened suddenly. One of the women from earlier stepped in. Time, she said flatly. The girls in the room stood immediately. No hesitation, no discussion, just obedience. Amara stayed still. Her body refused to move. I said time, the woman repeated, the tone sharper now. Amara's heart pounded. She looked at the girl beside her. The girl gave her a small nod, almost invisible. A silent message. Just follow. Amara's hands trembled. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to fight, to resist. But her body didn't obey those instincts anymore. Not fully. She took a step forward, then another, and another, each one heavier than the last. Because now the real conflict wasn't just outside her. It was inside her. A battle between fear and survival. Between resistance and adaptation. Between who she was and who she was slowly being forced to become. And as she followed the others out of the room, down the hallway again, something inside her whispered a terrifying thought. Not loud, not clear, but enough to make her pause inside her own mind. If I stay here long enough, will I still be me? And worse, or will I become like them? That question followed her, step after step, deeper into the unknown, where the real nightmare wasn't what was happening to her, but what it was slowly turning her into. The night felt different. Not calmer, not quieter, heavier. Amara stood outside the building for the first time in what felt like days, though she couldn't be sure anymore. Time inside that place didn't move normally. It bent. It blurred. Auntie Kemi stood a few steps ahead, speaking quietly to one of the women. Their voices were low, sharp, controlled. Amara wasn't supposed to be outside alone. None of them were. But something had changed today. A shift she couldn't understand. "Stay close," one of the women muttered without looking at her. Amara nodded automatically. Her body obeyed faster than her mind now. That frightened her. They walked, not toward the busy streets she first saw when she arrived, but deeper into the city. Places that felt less alive, less safe. Buildings grew older, streets narrower, lights dimmer, and the noise of the city slowly faded behind them, until all that remained was silence broken only by footsteps. Amara's heart started to race again. "Where are we going?" she asked softly. No one answered immediately. That alone made her stomach tighten. Finally, the girl beside her, the same quiet one, spoke without turning her head. "Walk." That word again. But this time, it didn't sound like survival. It sounded like a warning. They stopped in front of a building that looked abandoned from the outside. Dark windows, cracked walls, a rusted gate half open. Amara's steps slowed. Something inside her pulled back violently. "No," she whispered under her breath. But the woman behind her placed a hand on her shoulder. Firm, not violent, but final. "Go in." Amara turned her head slightly. Her eyes searched Auntie Kemi's face for reassurance, for warmth, for anything familiar. But Kemi wasn't smiling anymore. She simply nodded. Once. Amara's breath caught. That was it. No comfort. No explanation. Just instruction. The gate creaked as they entered. The sound alone made Amara flinch. Inside, the air was colder, thicker. The hallway smelled different. Metallic. Amara didn't like it. Not at all. They moved deeper inside. Rooms lined the sides, each closed tightly. From one of them, she heard a sound. A girl's voice. Sharp, panicked, cut off suddenly. Amara froze. "What was that?" she whispered. No one answered. Her pulse spiked. Her steps slowed further. The girl beside her finally turned her head slightly. Her eyes met Amara's. And, for the first time, there was fear there. Real fear. Not just sadness. Not just tiredness. Fear. "Don't ask questions," she whispered quickly. "Just do what they say." Amara's lips parted, but no words came out. Because now she understood. This wasn't just work. This wasn't just survival. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. They reached a door at the end of the hallway. A man stood beside it. Amara hadn't seen him before. He didn't speak, just looked at them, then opened the door. The sound that came from inside made Amara's entire body go cold. Voices, laughter, orders. A girl crying softly in the background. Amara took a step back instantly. "No," she said louder this time. "I won't go in there." The woman behind her grabbed her arm immediately. Harder now, not gentle anymore. "Don't make this difficult," she hissed. Amara struggled, panic rising fast. "I don't understand what's happening here," she cried. "You said I would just work. This isn't... Quiet," the woman snapped. The grip tightened. Pain shot through Amara's arm. Tears formed instantly, but she didn't stop fighting. Her mind screamed at her, "Run, run, run," but her body was trapped. The door opened wider, and that's when Amara saw it. Inside the room, girls, not resting, not eating, not learning. Working under pressure she couldn't even process in a single glance. And the air, the atmosphere, everything inside her rebelled at once. "No," she whispered again, voice breaking. "No, I won't." The man at the door finally spoke. Cold. E flat. "Bring her in." Amara's heart dropped. The girl beside her closed her eyes, like she couldn't watch. And then, everything happened at once. The grip on Amara's arm tightened. She was pulled forward. She screamed, struggled, fought harder than she ever had before. But the hallway swallowed her voice. The door loomed closer, 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 until she was inside. And the moment she crossed that threshold, something inside her broke. Not loudly, not visibly, but deeply, because now she understood the truth she had been avoiding since the beginning. This wasn't a place she could simply leave. This was a place that took choices away, piece by piece, until all that was left was obedience or collapse. And as the door slammed shut behind her, Amara realized the worst part wasn't what she was about to face inside. It was the fact that she might not come out the same person again, or come out at all. The door shut behind her with a sound that didn't feel like wood and metal. It felt like an ending. Amara stood frozen for a second, her eyes struggling to adjust to the dim light inside the room. Her breathing was loud, too loud. Every breath felt like it was being pulled out of her chest instead of coming naturally. "Move." The voice came from the man near the door. Cold, controlled. Amara didn't move. Not because she was brave, but because her body simply refused to understand what was happening. Then she saw her, a girl in the middle of the room, sitting on a chair, head down, shoulders shaking slightly. And beside her, another woman standing with a clipboard, not looking at Amara, not caring about her, just continuing whatever she was doing. Amara's mind struggled to connect the pieces. This wasn't a workplace. This wasn't training. This wasn't anything she had imagined when she first stepped into Auntie Kemi's building. "No," Amara whispered, shaking her head. "This is wrong." The man stepped closer. "Sit down," he ordered. Amara stepped back instantly. "I want to leave," she said quickly. "I'm leaving right now." The woman with the clipboard finally looked up and she hid. Not surprised, not angry, just tired. Like she had heard this too many times before. "You can't leave," she said simply. Amara blinked. "What do you mean I can't leave?" The woman pointed toward the door behind her. "The same way you came in." Amara turned her head quickly. The door was still there, but now two men stood in front of it, blocking it completely. Her heart dropped. "No," she whispered again, more desperate now. "You said this was help. You said—" Her voice cracked. The woman interrupted calmly. "We don't say that." Silence. Heavy. Final. Amara's chest tightened so hard she thought she might collapse. Her mind flashed back instantly. Auntie Kemi. The smile. The words. "You're safe here." A bitter realization spread through her like fire. "It was all a lie," she whispered. No one responded, because there was nothing to argue. Only truth now. The girl on the chair lifted her head slightly. Her eyes met Amara's. And in that moment, Amara understood everything without a single word being spoken. The exhaustion, the emptiness, the quiet surrender. She had seen that look before in others, in the hallway, in the dining room, in every silent face she passed. They weren't working. They were trapped, just like her. No. Amara shook her head violently. No, I'm not staying here. She turned toward the door again, took a step forward. But one of the men grabbed her instantly. Hard, fast. Her arm twisted painfully as she gasped. Let me go! She screamed, struggling. But the grip only tightened. The man dragged her forward. She kicked, fought, panicked, but it was useless. She was pulled deeper into the room, closer to the center, closer to the truth she didn't want to see. The woman with the clipboard walked toward her slowly. You were brought here because you were vulnerable, she said flatly. That's how this works. Amara's eyes filled with tears again. I didn't agree to this, she cried. You didn't have to, the woman replied. That sentence hit harder than anything else because it explained everything. Not consent, not choice, just circumstance. Amara's strength started fading, not physically, but inside, something breaking down piece by piece. The girl on the chair suddenly spoke, her voice barely audible. Don't fight too much, she whispered. Amara turned to her immediately. What? The girl looked away again. I did, she said quietly. It only made it worse. Amara froze. Her breathing slowed slightly. Confusion mixing with fear. What is this place? She asked. The room went silent. Even the man holding her paused. Then the woman with the clipboard finally spoke. Slowly, clearly. This is a system. Amara blinked. What system? The woman stepped closer, one step at a time, like she wanted every word to land properly. A system for girls who have nowhere else to go, she said. Girls who trust the wrong people. Girls who are easy to control. Amara's stomach twisted violently. No, she whispered. Yes, the woman continued. Then she tilted her head slightly. And Auntie Kemi? Amara's breath caught. The woman gave a small, emotionless smile. She works for us. Everything stopped. Amara's mind went blank for a second. No thoughts, no emotions. Just silence, like her entire world had just cracked open. She brought me here, Amara whispered. The woman nodded, like she brought the others. Amara's legs weakened slightly. Her vision blurred. Not from tears this time, but from shock, from betrayal so deep it didn't even feel real. She shook her head slowly. No. She helped me. But even as she said it, her voice lost conviction, because the memories were already changing in her mind, rewriting themselves, revealing what she had refused to see. The kindness, the timing, the perfect help at the perfect moment. It wasn't rescue. It was selection. The man loosened his grip slightly as Amara stopped resisting for a moment. Not because she agreed, but because she couldn't process it anymore. Her mind was overloaded. Cracking. The woman stepped back. Now you understand, she said calmly. Amara stood there, silent, shaking, broken between two realities. The life she thought she was entering, and the nightmare she was actually inside. And for the first time since leaving home, she realized something terrifying. This wasn't a mistake. It was a trap, deliberate, organized, and she had walked into it herself. And now, the question wasn't whether she could escape. It was whether she would survive long enough to even try. Amara stopped struggling, not because she wanted to, but because something inside her finally went quiet. Not peaceful, not calm, just exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from lack of sleep, but from realizing nothing you do is changing anything. The grip on her arm loosened slightly, but she didn't move, didn't run, didn't speak. Her eyes stayed fixed on the floor, like if she looked up, she might fully break. The room felt different now. Not louder, not more chaotic, just clearer, too clear. Because once you know the truth, everything changes shape. Even silence feels heavier. The woman with the clipboard watched her carefully, then nodded once. "She's breaking in," she said flatly. Amara flinched at the words. Breaking in, like she wasn't a person, like she was something being processed. Her throat tightened. "I'm not staying here," she said again, but this time it sounded weaker, fragile. Even she could hear it. No one reacted. Because no one needed to. The decision wasn't hers anymore. The man finally let go of her arm. Not gently, just done. Like she was no longer a problem requiring force, just managed. "Take her," the woman said. Amara's heart jumped again instantly. "No, wait, please." But her words were swallowed as she was pulled toward the side of the room. Not dragged violently this time, but guided, controlled. That was somehow worse, because it meant resistance was no longer needed. It meant the expected compliance. A small door opened at the corner of the room. Amara was pushed through it. It shut behind her. Click, and suddenly, she was alone again, but not in the way she used to be alone at home. This was different. This was enclosed, contained, like the world had shrunk around her. The room she entered was small, bare. A single light flickered overhead. No window, no sound from outside. Just her breathing, fast, uneven. Amara backed into the wall instantly, her hands shaking violently now. "No, no, no," she whispered to herself. Her mind scrambled, trying to find an exit, a plan, a reason, anything. But every thought collapsed into the same ending. There was no easy way out. Not anymore. Her knees weakened slightly and she slid down the wall, sitting on the floor, head in her hands. And for the first time since she left home, she let herself feel everything. The betrayal, the fear, the regret. Her mother's face flashed in her mind. Sitting at that small kitchen, pretending she had eaten, smiling through exhaustion. Amara's breath hitched. "I shouldn't have left," she whispered. The words tasted like pain. Because they didn't fix anything. They just added weight. Hours felt like they passed. Or maybe minutes. She couldn't tell anymore. Time was starting to lose meaning inside this place. The door finally opened again. Amara flinched instantly. But it wasn't Auntie Kemi. It was the quiet girl, the one who had whispered, "I'm sorry." She stepped in slowly, closed the door behind her. And for the first time, she didn't look afraid. She looked resigned. She crouched down in front of Amara. "Listen to me," she said softly. Amara looked up slowly, her eyes red, swollen, tired. "I tried to warn you," the girl said. Amara swallowed. "Why didn't you stop me?" she whispered. A pause, long, heavy. Then the girl gave a sad smile. "I tried once," she said quietly. "I ended up here too." Silence. That sentence landed like a collapse. Not a shock, a confirmation. Amara's voice trembled. "How long have you been here?" The girl hesitated. "I don't know anymore." That answer hurt more than anything else, because it meant time didn't matter here. Days didn't matter. People didn't matter. Only survival. The girl shifted slightly closer, lowered her voice. "They don't let people live easily," she said. "Not unless." She stopped. Amara's chest tightened. Unless what? She asked. The girl didn't answer immediately. Her eyes dropped. Then, unless you stop being useful. Amara didn't fully understand, but she understood enough. Her stomach twisted. They break you down first, the girl continued quietly. Then you stop fighting. After that, you stop thinking about leaving. Amara shook her head slowly. I won't become like that, she whispered. The girl looked at her directly. And for the first time, there was something like urgency in her voice. Everyone says that at first. Silence. Amara's breathing slowed slightly. Not calmer, just heavier. Because now, she understood something terrifying. The system wasn't just about control. It was about erosion. Slow, careful, relentless. The girl stood up slowly. They'll come for you again soon, she said softly. Just don't resist too much. It hurts less that way. Amara's eyes widened slightly. What are you saying? But the girl was already stepping back. I'm trying to help you survive, she said. Then she paused at the door, looked back one last time. And surviving here is not the same as living. Then she left, and Amara was alone again. But this time, something inside her had changed. The shock was fading, the panic was settling, and in its place, something colder was starting to form. Understanding, because now she knew the truth. Not just that she was trapped, but how, and by whom, and worse, that the world outside didn't even know she was gone in the way that mattered. And somewhere far away, her mother was still waiting, still hoping, still believing her daughter was out there building a better life. Not knowing that the life Amara was building now wasn't one she chose. It was one she was being forced to survive. The first time Amara tried to stand again, her legs almost gave out. Not because she was physically weak, but because her mind no longer trusted her body. Everything felt delayed, like her thoughts were happening somewhere far away, and her body was just following instructions it didn't agree with anymore. The door didn't open for a while after the girl left. Silence returned. That strange, controlled silence that lived inside the place. Amara sat there staring at the floor, waiting, not because she wanted to, but because experience had already started teaching her something dangerous. Waiting was safer than acting. Hours earlier, she would have fought again, screamed again, tried to break free again. But something inside her had changed. Not fully broken, but reshaped. A knock finally came. 2 taps. Then the door opened. Auntie Kemi stepped in. Her presence filled the room instantly. Calm, composed, controlled. Get up, she said simply. Amara didn't move right away. Kemi sighed softly. Not angry, just patient. Like she expected this phase. Look at me, Kemi added. Slowly, Amara lifted her head. Their eyes met, and for the first time, Amara saw something different in her. Not kindness, not warmth, just structure. A system in human form. You're still resisting internally, Kemi said. Amara swallowed. I want to leave, she whispered again. Kemi nodded slightly. I know. That answer didn't surprise Amara anymore, but it did confuse her. If she knew, why wasn't anything changing? Kemi stepped further into the room, closed the door behind her. This time, no guards, no force, just conversation. You think leaving is the solution, Kemi said calmly. Amara didn't answer. You think outside is safe, she continued. A pause. But tell me, was outside safe for you before you came here? The question hit harder than expected. Amara hesitated. Memories flashed. Her home, her father's anger, the shouting, the fear, her mother crying quietly when no one was watching. Silence. Kemi noticed it. You weren't safe there either, she said gently. Amara's voice cracked. But this isn't safe either. Kemi nodded again. That's true. Another pause. Then, but it is stable. Amara frowned slightly. What does that mean? Kemi crouched down slightly, bringing herself closer to Amara's level. For people like you, she said slowly, the world doesn't offer clean safety, only trade-offs. Amara shook her head. I didn't trade anything. Kemi's expression didn't change. Yes, she said softly. You did. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't heavy with fear. It was heavy with realization. Kemi stood up slowly. You came here because you wanted escape, she said. And we gave you one. Amara laughed bitterly. This is not escape. Kemi looked at her for a long moment. Then, it is survival training. That phrase hung in the air. Amara didn't understand it fully, but it unsettled her. Kemi walked toward the door, paused before leaving. You have two choices now, she said without turning around. Amara looked up. Break completely, Kemi continued, or learn how this place works. She opened the door slightly, then added, and one of those choices leads to suffering that never ends. Then she left. The door closed again. But this time, Amara didn't collapse, didn't cry immediately. Instead, she sat there, thinking, not accepting, not obeying, but processing, slowly, painfully, because something inside her was starting to shift again, not toward surrender, but toward understanding. And understanding was the first step she hadn't had before. The quiet girl's words echoed in her mind. Surviving here is not the same as living. Amara exhaled slowly. For the first time since she arrived, she stopped asking only, how do I escape? And started asking something else. Something more dangerous. How does this place actually work? Because if she could understand it, truly understand it, then maybe, just maybe, she could find a way out that wasn't just running blind into worse danger. She stood up slowly, wiped her face, and walked to the door, not to escape, not yet, but to observe, to learn, to survive differently. And outside that room, the system waited, unchanged, unaware that something inside one of its newest captives was beginning to shift from fear into something far more dangerous. Awareness. Days blurred into each other. Inside the place, time didn't feel like time anymore. It felt like routine. Wake up. Follow instructions. Stay quiet. Observe. Survive. Amara stopped asking questions out loud. Not because she had given up, but because she had started listening instead. Watching. Learning patterns. The way people moved. The way rooms were controlled. The way fear was used, not loudly, but quietly, like air you don't notice until it's gone. And slowly, she began to see it. Not everything, not clearly at first, but enough. Enough to understand that fear wasn't just punishment here. It was structure. One evening, as the room dimmed and the usual silence settled in, the quiet girl sat beside her again. This time, she didn't look away immediately. You're different now, she whispered. Amara didn't respond right away. She kept her eyes forward. I'm just paying attention, she said finally. The girl studied her for a moment, then nodded slowly. That's dangerous here. Amara turned slightly. I already know. A pause. Then the girl leaned closer, lowered her voice. You're thinking about leaving again. It wasn't a question. Amara didn't deny it, but she didn't confirm it either. Instead, she said something else. I'm thinking about understanding first. The girl blinked. Confused, Amara continued. If you don't understand how something works, you can't escape it properly. Silence. The girl stared at her like she was seeing her for the first time. Then, a faint, cautious smile. That's the first thing anyone here has said that makes sense. For the first time, it wasn't hopelessness between them. It was recognition. Over time, Amara began doing something new. Not resisting blindly. Not obeying blindly either. She listened. She asked small, careful questions. She watched who had power, who didn't, who spoke freely, who stayed silent. And most importantly, she noticed the gaps, the moments when systems weren't watched, when routines overlapped, when attention shifted. Tiny cracks, but cracks nonetheless. One night, Auntie Kemi called her aside again. Amara's heart tightened, but she didn't show it. Not anymore. You're adjusting well, Kemi said. Amara nodded slightly. I'm trying to understand. Kemi studied her for a moment, then gave a small, unreadable smile. Good, she said. But this time, Amara saw something behind it. Not approval, not care, but expectation. Like she was being prepared for something. That realization stayed with her. Later that night, Amara sat alone in her room, thinking, not about escape in panic anymore, but in structure, steps, timing, people. The building wasn't impenetrable. It only felt that way when you didn't understand it. And now, she was starting to understand. The quiet girl appeared again at the door. This isn't a place you leave easily, she whispered. Amara nodded. I know. A pause. Then Amara said something unexpected. But it's not a place that can't be left at all. The girl froze slightly. Amara continued quietly. Everything built has weak points. Silence stretched between them. Long, tense. Then the girl exhaled slowly. You're dangerous now, she said softly. Amara didn't smile, didn't deny it, because she wasn't trying to be dangerous. She was trying to be ready. Weeks later, a small opportunity came. Not dramatic, not obvious. Just a shift in routine. A moment when attention moved elsewhere. A door left slightly less guarded than usual. Amara noticed it instantly. Her heart beat faster, but not with panic this time. With calculation. She didn't move immediately. She waited, watched, confirmed. Then, she acted quietly, carefully, not running, not rushing, just moving when the system wasn't looking directly at her. Step by step, she passed through the corridor, past the familiar rooms, past the silence that used to feel like walls. Her breath was controlled, her mind sharp. For the first time, fear wasn't leading her. Awareness was. She reached the outer passage. A gate stood ahead, half open, just like she had first entered this world. But this time, she understood what it meant. The gate was not freedom. It was a question, and she had already spent too long inside answers she didn't choose. Amara stepped forward, slowly, then stopped, looked back once. Not in fear, but in understanding, because she knew now, living wasn't just about escaping a place. It was about surviving everything it had changed inside you. She turned back toward the gate and walked through. Outside air hit differently this time. Not like escape, like consequence. The city was still loud, still chaotic, but Amara wasn't the same girl who arrived. She adjusted her grip on her bag, took a deep breath, and kept walking forward. Not knowing everything, not fully free of what happened inside, but no longer trapped in it either. Some scars stayed, some memories never left, but she was no longer inside the system that broke her. And for the first time since she left home, she wasn't just surviving, she was rebuilding. Amara didn't go back home immediately. Some journeys don't end with a return. Some end with becoming someone new. She found a small room far from the noise of the city center. Nothing fancy, nothing perfect. But it was hers, and for the first time in a long time, that word meant something real. Safe didn't mean perfect anymore. Safe meant aware, careful, alive. At night, she would sometimes sit by the window and stare at the city lights. The same city that once swallowed her fear. The same city that almost swallowed her completely. And she would think about the version of herself that left home with a small bag and a fragile hope. That girl felt far away now, not gone, but changed, because what she learned was something painful, but real. Not every offer of help is safe. Not every smile means kindness. And not every escape leads where you think it will. Sometimes, the hardest truth is that the world doesn't always protect you just because you are young, lost, or desperate. It tests you. It watches what you accept, what you ignore, what you survive, and it changes you based on that. One evening, she finally called her mother. Her hands shook as the phone rang. When her mother answered, her voice broke instantly. "Amara, is that really you?" Silence. Then Amara whispered, "I'm alive." That was all she could say at first. Not because there wasn't more, but because everything else still hurt too much to explain. Her mother cried on the other end, not asking questions. Just grateful, just relieved. And Amara closed her eyes, letting it happen, letting herself feel it. Because for the first time, she wasn't trying to survive the moment. She was letting herself exist inside it. After the call ended, she sat there for a long time, thinking about everything. The decisions she made, the cost of trust, the weight of silence, the strength it took just to walk away again. And she understood something important. Leaving home didn't make her free. Surviving didn't make her safe. And fear didn't disappear just because she escaped it. But awareness, that changed everything. Because now she knew she would never ignore the signs again, never mistake desperation for destiny, never trade her judgment for comfort. The story didn't end with perfection. It ended with clarity. And sometimes, that is the real victory. Not what you gain, but what you refuse to lose again. If this story made you feel something, if you've ever been in a situation where you had to choose between comfort and truth, then listen carefully. Not every door that opens for you is meant to be walked through. And not every person who offers help is there to lift you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is pause long enough to see what's really in front of you before you step forward. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere out there, someone is standing at a door, just like Amara once did. And maybe this story will help them choose differently.